I'm Rebecca Thompson Hitt, and this is the All Relationships Can Heal podcast. All relationships can heal. That's right. It's a profound statement to make, and yet it's important for you to hear. If you have a relationship that doesn't feel good, that causes you distress, that wakes you up at night, please know that healing is waiting to happen. Sometimes what you're experiencing is transgenerational. Patterns are passed from one generation to the next, and you're trying to do something different, something that is emotionally healthier than what those who came before you knew how to bring into being. Changing a generational pattern requires us to see them and to have enough support to choose a different path. When we make these changes, we're making the course of life. We're changing the course of life for ourselves and our children. This is healing. Sometimes what you're experiencing is a difficulty from something that happened in your lifetime or your child's lifetime. It could be a traumatic event, abuse, separation, divorce, loss, a death. Maybe you're looking to support your own healing after something happened to you. Maybe you're looking to support your child's healing. Perhaps you're trying to heal the relationship with someone with whom you had or have a difficult relationship, whether the person is living or not. When we acknowledge these relationships that aren't working, we begin to change things within and then outside of us. This is healing. Sometimes the relationship just doesn't feel good and something needs to change. But what you're doing isn't working and you're not sure what else to do. Find a way to move forward through the pain, to reconnect with yourself and your own knowing, to resource yourself so healing can begin. This is healing. The beautiful thing is that we're going to be exploring what healing looks like in your life together. The old story most of us have been living is that we have to keep it to ourselves, or we need to figure it out on our own, or we need to just move on and pretend it didn't happen. But this is a recipe for disease or dis-ease and passing unhealthy patterns on to the next generation. The new story is that we need each other. We can support one another as we find our way. And through this podcast, you'll learn about listening, how to offer real support, and how to receive it. If you're expecting someone else to tell you what to do, this may not be for you. But if you truly want to feel empowered to make a difference in your own life, to utilize tools that will support you to make the changes you need to make for yourself and your family to heal your relationship, then this podcast is probably for you. Healing looks different for all people and all families. We're going to explore what that can look like through real stories from real families who have healed, families who are no longer dragging around the pain of the past and have truly forgiven those who need to be forgiven. Sometimes healing looks like a reunion, and deep healing happens in the relationship. You'll hear lots of stories where that's what has happened. And you'll hear stories where the healing looks totally different, and the healing that happens is within. There is no right or wrong way to heal. So thank you for joining us. It's going to be an important journey for you and your family, and we're going to do it together. Mindful Monday is about being aware of our relationships and honestly assessing what is working and what's not. I'd like to share my first guiding principle for the All Relationships Can Heal podcast and book, and it's All Behavior is a Communication. We'll be learning more about the guiding principles and how they can help us to heal over the coming weeks and beyond. We need to shift the way that we're looking at relationships, and the relationships can begin to change. Spend some time with this idea of all behaviors of communication over the next week, and see what you observe about yourself and your loved ones, whether it's a relationship you need to heal or not. We need to first really understand whether behaviors are really communicating the disconnection before they start to change. So here is my first guiding principle. Hi, I'm Rebecca Thompson Hitt, and we are talking about All Relationships Can Heal. This is my revised 8 guiding principles. I worked on these guiding principles I think I came up with them in about 10 years ago, about 2009 or so, when I started working on my book, my very first book. And the whole first book is dedicated to these principles. I have been sitting with them and sitting with the ideas that I'm trying to convey in this course and in this book. And I have revised them a little bit. Of course, I've also spent the last 10 years working with these principles and these ideas. And so I've simplified the language a little bit, but I really want to make sure that we all understand this is about all of us. This isn't even just about parenting and parenting our children, although absolutely applies to that. It applies to all of our relationships. This is about being human. This is about relationships and healthy relationships. So the first guiding principle is all behavior is communication, and that is the primary um, that's really the epitome of my work, this one and the next one, and everything else kind of relates to that and just expands upon it in different ways. So all behaviors of communication is if you get this, then, and it may take you a while and you may think you've got it, but it is profound once you really get it. So behavior is about how you're feeling about yourself, what's happening in your body, your brain, your nervous system, and you're going to act out of that place. It may or may not be conscious, this behavior, the way that you're acting. It may or may not have anything to do with anybody else. It's what belongs to you, and you are communicating sometimes without saying a single word through your body language, your facial expressions, the sounds that you make. At the same time, behavior absolutely can be a communication about the state of the relationship. If there's connection in the relationship, you'll see behaviors of connection, eye contact, touch, tone of voice that's friendly. This is communication that your relationship is in a connected place. If there's a disconnection, you'll see behaviors that show that. So the lack of eye contact, avoidance, not talking, harsher tone of voice or volume. Our relationships live in that space between us. So how does it feel when you think about the space between you and another person? And if it's a space of connection, that space is going to feel good. If it's disconnected, it's not. And there isn't a whole lot in between. Not really. You can have a lukewarm relationship or a relationship you don't really have with somebody else, but in terms of when you're actually relating to somebody else, how does that space feel? This is true regardless of age. A parent and baby can be connected or disconnected. A couple can be connected or disconnected. A parent and an older child or a young adult can be connected or disconnected. It will look different in each situation. But if you're paying attention, you can begin to see the communication of that behavior. We tend to judge behaviors as right or wrong. What happens when we begin to shift to recognizing that the communication is happening and there's communication of those behaviors, and ask, is this behavior from someone who is connected or disconnected from our relationship? Is this behavior about me, or is it about what's going on for them? What does it bring up for me? What's the story I'm telling about this behavior? So, do you have a relationship that's feeling disconnected right now? Do you have a relationship that's feeling connected? Just take a moment and think about and just feel and be with what it feels like when a relationship is connected and feels good. Maybe you've got a settling in your body and nervous system, and then when it's disconnected. And that can change from minute to minute in a relationship. So it's, what does it feel like now? We'll be back tomorrow with another important way to look at our relationships that can help us begin to heal. I'm Rebecca Thompson Hitt, and this is the All Relationships Can Heal podcast.